accepted, but compulsory acquisition, from my perspective, is one of the most discriminating acts, especially when it comes to indigenous people. It can be one of the most discriminating acts on the planet, on this planet. But I want to bring you back. I want to bring you back a couple of years ago. At the very entrance of this community, there was a blockade. You obviously were aware of it. Gail was there. Gail sat down, and I'm not quite sure what perspective she may have fed you, or what perspective other people may have fed you, or what perspective you created for your own regarding that blockade. But as a community representative, and as someone who is genuinely committed in supporting the development and growth of this community, I believe the strongest message that was sent out that day was the importance, not necessarily the responsibility, but the importance of government support in our community in re-establishing a governing structure or a governing body. Because, as you are aware, if you do not have that basis, or if you do not have that group, if you like, to try and create some sort of structure, it creates a lot of confusion, it creates a lot of miscommunication, misinterpretations. Now, from that moment, nothing's changed. We are still in limbo in Beagle Bay as to what's happening with our governance, as to what's happening with our form of representation. Now, it's really confusing and it's frustrating, but the worst thing about it, I believe, the worst thing that's on the back of everyone's mind in this community is on whose authority now. Whose authority, even so that obviously we were members of part of the association, Beagle Bay Association. Ever since BBCI was in the process to dissolve, we've been left in limbo as to whose authority we now have to make these decisions regarding these implementations from your government, or regarding the changes from COAM. We still don't have that. We still don't have that clarity. We still don't have that, defining line as to who we are and what we're representing. That is the most critical aspect of, what needs to happen before any development goes ahead. Now, that's our main concern in Beagle Bay regarding, obviously, the governance. Now, there are other issues relating to the way the government is actually coming into the community and conducting its process. If you can try and imagine that the government issue may not ring a bell, it may not be a priority from the government's point of view, it is definitely a priority from our point of view, just to try and create some basis of trust, some basis of unity, so that we can then collect our thoughts and our concerns and best represent ourselves for exactly what you need and the feedback that you need from us. Nothing. It's nothing. All that has taken place in this community has been your government departments coming in through essential services, through these different types of, interventions, if you want to call it, or different types of strategies to deal with immediate problems. And basically what you've done is you've secured a relationship with this community where everybody, or majority of people that work here, are now working for the state government. I mean, obviously they're working based in community, but their wealth, their income, everything that they are now living or supporting their livelihood from is based upon government and government's programs. When we declare ourselves a community in crisis, we did not want that situation. We wanted to run our own programs in collaboration with government. At the moment, it doesn't seem like there's been any collaboration with the people in this community. It just seems that we are being given these programs, and if we do not want to, invite those programs, we simply miss out on them. I basically think it's like your attitude with the gas. If we don't approve or support the gas, we're not going to improve our livelihoods. Our lives are just going to go down shit creek, basically. And that's so naive. You shouldn't say that. It's so naive to think that is going to be the solution to providing the benefits and improvements that we're going to have in the future. Because I don't believe that selling our country is going to be the alternative solution to getting my people out of the poverty-stricken areas and out of the negative situations that we exist in. But anyway, another point that I'd like to say is obviously Aboriginal life is complex. But in today's society, it is even harder to understand. I feel it's a sense naive and selfish to use this consent determination by forcing, or in a sense, forcing native title groups that surround your proposed area to consent to this development or consent to the boundaries of that particular clan group, when these native title groups that need to provide that consent haven't even established a working group, they haven't even collected valuable information like the genealogical records, accurate genealogical records, anthropological, environmental, cultural heritage, all this data that they can collect and own for themselves without having to worry about the ability, or the state and federal government's ability to retain information because that information was collected by their own assessment. We'd like to conduct our own assessment. We should be given that chance before we are, in a sense, expected or encouraged to support in any development related to other native title groups. Those are our priority issues. Now, obviously, there is this now sense that, the KLC are going to get the consent from the surrounding native title groups. I find that very irrational, or I find it very, bizarre. I don't believe that. But one thing I just wanted to tell you is that I speak to the old people, right? Obviously I have to. I need to try and get some sort of clarity and some sort of understanding as to, the depth of where we're coming from and where the old people are coming from. Now, they don't fully understand the scale of this issue. They don't. And they're quick to say that. And they don't understand the context of where you sit as a state government, and they don't understand the context of where we sit now as indigenous people of this land. But the one thing that they do know, and the one thing that they are so sure on, is what they have witnessed throughout the long term. And that is the long-term impact of what these developments have. Now, from a lot of them, the long-term impacts that they have witnessed have been very negative, especially in relation to indigenous people. Now, they are experts on what they've seen. They don't understand it, but they've seen it. That's what they go on, their reference, right? And they know, or they feel a strong sense that the process that your government is undertaking right now is only going to add to the complexities of indigenous affairs. Because they still haven't grasped, they still haven't grasped what's actually going on now. But we're going on to another project now, so we're just going to add on to more problems. We're just going to add more issues to solve amongst our community. And they also mentioned to me how they don't want to bear witness to what this impact is going to do and how this development is going to impact on us and the Danby Peninsula. But the one underlying message that they keep instilling in me is the fact that what would be more beneficial, what would be more important for us, all the Aboriginal people have got connection to this country, what would be more important? Having this beautiful, untouched, sacred country for the next 100 years. Now 100 years, I guess we'll say 30 to 99 years, that's more or less what the information we've given through the assessment, or through your assessment that you've given out the booklet. And it says 30 to 99 years, so I'll just basically say 100 years. Now, would it be more important for us to hold this country and keep it sacred and keep it beautiful for the next 100 years? Or would it be wise for us to witness what the development and what the impacts are going to be like with this development in the next 100 years? Now that's quite important, and that rings really true to a lot of Aboriginal people, because it's the long term, it's the big picture. It's not the quick negotiations, it's not the process which you undertake in order to get a quick solution or a quick approval. It's the actual long picture, it's the long term that we are all generally concerned about. And they also mentioned, when I'll close my statement, I'd just like to share a bit of piece from me, bro. Colin Barnett, I talk to this country, right? I talk to the old people that come from this country, and I talk to the spirit from this country, and I've asked for something to happen to you, right? And it's not a bad thing. It's only to try and wake you up. To try and wake you up to realizing the importance of leaving this country alone. Your government leaving this country alone, right? And allowing the indigenous people to continue to establish their own method, as well as maintain and looking after this country like they've been doing for thousands of years. And I hope and I pray to the gods that if you ever do wake up to that fact, and if you ever do wake up to that reality, I'm telling you now, Colin Barnett, you will always be welcome here. Thank you.